How's it going tonight, John? John? Yeah, well, same joke from episode 242 when we did something fun. We're both out of town again and unable to connect this week, so we're doing something fun, volume 2 for episode 295. We're going to take you back to some of the things we thought were fun over the last number of years of the podcast. So let's first look at episode 72, over-the-air hardware updates in April of 2019. The something fun was bees survive Notre Dame fire.
Oh, I guess I have to have something fun too, huh?
We could continue talking about passwords and hardware updates.
So my something fun is I didn't want to do something bee related, but I have to because I had 3 people, you, Cedric, and most importantly, my wife sent me this link.
Only one of those 3 people matters.
I don't think I said that out loud, but yeah. But the Notre Dame fire was last week, which was awful looking, and but there was evidently 3 beehives on the top of the cathedral, and the beehives survived. So this my something fun is a link to the article that has about the beehives on top of Notre Dame that survived the fire. And that was cool. Very cool.
Okay, and next up in March of 2020, kind of the beginning of the COVID era, episode 120, I dyed my hair purple. The something fun, fake good news. And then my second article is, if you are like my kids and pay a lot of attention to TikTok and Instagram,
yeah,
there have been a lot of coronavirus fake happy stories that are unfortunately fake happy stories, but I mean they're fun stories. So one of the most recent, most popular ones was I'll just read really quick here. It's scattered amid a relentless barrage of news about COVID-19 case surges, quarantine orders, and medical supply shortages on Twitter this week. Some happy stories softened the blows. Swans had returned to the deserted Venetian canals, dolphins as well, and a group of elephants had sauntered through a village in Yunnan, China, gotten drunk off corn wine, and passed out in a tea garden. The only problem is these kind of feel-good stories aren't real. You know, swans regularly appear in the canals in a small part of the greater Venice metropolitan area, which is where those photos were taken that got shared on social media. The dolphins were actually in Sardinia, which is 100 miles away, and there were no... a Chinese news report debunked the drunken elephant photos. So while I think it's fun to see those kind of stories, they kind of make you, they're uplifting. It can have the opposite effect when you find out that they're fake. So just be aware that fun things can be fake too.
Yeah, that is a bummer. But the air quality one, as far as we can tell, reliable news source.
Yep,
has real data. Yeah, not fake swans.
Yes, no. And then my final one is actually just a cartoon, which I thought was great. I found the actual source of it. I saw it running around social media, and I hunted down the actual source. We'll post the actual source in the show notes. But Where's Waldo, right? Remember all those books, and you try to find Where's Waldo?
I do.
This is a picture. It's just a one-panel newspaper. Where's Waldo Social Distancing Edition? You can guess what it looks like. It's
not
great.
A crowd of people.
No. It's Waldo kind of by himself, at least 6 feet. Looks like he's probably closer to 10 to 15 feet from all the other people around. So who are also in equal distance from each other as well.
They are also practicing social distancing.
They're all practicing social distancing. I thought that was fun.
Oh, that's fantastic.
All right.
Yeah, I like that one.
Next up, from July of 2020, episode 137, Setting Fire to Things. Those damning beavers.
What's
all right,
fun?
So my something fun is mostly just because I wanted to say the sentence, the Beavers have won.
Okay. As an Oregon State Beavers, yes. I actually got,
well
I got my master's from Oregon State.
No, actual beavers.
No, not those kind of beavers. Okay.
So my something fun is my boy and I, and my kids and I in general, we enjoy riding bikes. And there's a number of bike trails around. But of course, we also live in an area that is very keen on restoring wetlands and habitats, et cetera. And there is a section of a trail that we love to ride bikes on. It's called the Fano Creek Trail, that has been so successful in the wetland restoration that beavers have moved in and have built at least 5 dams along a 1-mile stretch of this trail. And the problem is every time, during the wet season, there is a section that goes underneath a big road, Shoals Ferry Road. That's the main road to get out of where we're at. And there's a section that goes under there, and every year it floods due to the beavers and the beaver dams. And,
those damning beavers.
That's right. We've even helped over the years, replanting, and it's a popular area for going and helping do replanting. I know we've done that service projects for school or Girl Scouts or Cub Scouts when my kids were little and involved in those things. But there is now an article that the city has finally given in and said, because they've been repairing and tweaking and putting embankments up and trying to make sure that the trail underneath the main road stays clear, but it just never works. Every year it floods and basically it blocks the trail. And the only way out is to go up onto the main road, but there's no crosswalks nearby. So you're either trying to zip across, 5 big lanes of traffic, or, ride or walk down to one of the crosswalks a bit of ways.
Wow.
The proposal from the city is now that they may install a crosswalk above a people-only crosswalk above ground so that people can get across and they won't have to worry about the trail anymore. Or, the beavers damming up the, flooding the trail anymore. And this isn't the only spot. It gets flooded in several spots along the way. They've had to reroute the trail a number of times because the beavers have won.
Okay, well that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I can't quite tell from this the map that's in here exactly where this is on the road, but the beavers have won.
Okay, moving on to episode 210, Forest of Uniform Trees, in December of 2021, the Hidden Heroines of Chaos.
All right, how about something fun?
All right, so my something fun I saw a couple weeks ago, but opted for something else. But I had to do it at some point. So this one, the movie Hidden Figures, right, that talked about the women computers in the space program.
Mm-hmm.
This one is I stumbled across because recently I was putting together a presentation using my favorite quote by Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park, the chaos theory guy. So this article is titled The Hidden Heroines of Chaos Theory. And I'll just read a little bit. It's a very long article, so you got to kind of read the whole thing, but I'll read the start of it here. A little over half a century ago, chaos started spilling out of a famous experiment. It came not from a petri dish, a beaker, or an astronomical observation, but from the vacuum tubes and diodes of a Royal McBee LGP-30. This, air quote, desk computer, it was the size of a desk, weighed some 800 pounds and sounded like a passing propeller plane. It was so loud that it even got its own office on the 5th floor in Building 24, a drab structure near the center of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Instructions for the computer came from down the hall from the office of a meteorologist named Edward Norton Lorenz. So this is all about the beginnings of chaos theory and the story of chaos. I'm going to read a little bit more. The story of chaos is usually told like this. Using the LGP-30, Lorenz made paradigm-wrecking discoveries. In 1961, having programmed a set of equations into the computer that would simulate future weather, he found that tiny differences in starting values could lead to drastically different outcomes. This sensitivity to initial conditions, later popularized as the butterfly effect, made predicting the far future a fool's errand. But Lorenz also found that these unpredictable outcomes weren't quite random either. When visualized in a certain way, they seemed to prowl around a shape called a strange attractor. About a decade later, chaos theory started to catch on in scientific circles. So there's the background behind chaos theory. And in 2017, a geophysicist, Daniel Rothman, was co-director of MIT's Lorenz Center, named after the guy, and was preparing for a symposium, and it was going to honor Lorenz, who died in 2008. And so he was revisiting the original masterwork of chaos titled Deterministic Non-Periodic Flow that was published in 1963. And tons of citations, everything, but he noticed something that he had never seen before in here. At the bottom, the paper's acknowledgments, Lorenz had written, "Special thanks are due to Miss Ellen Fetter for handling the many numerical computations," which he then said, I'm going to start tracking this down. And there's a much larger story, so you really do have to go read the whole thing. But he started tracking that down, and that's when he learned about another name, a woman who had preceded Ellen Fetter in the job of programming Lorenz's first meeting with the chaos, Margaret Hamilton. And he found this because he ended up finding the daughter of Ellen Fetter, cool. And, just piecing all those pieces together. So I'll just kind of leave you with that. If you like the concept of chaos theory and at least the quote from Jurassic Park, this is just a really cool article that kind of pulls out, hey, here are some of the people behind the scenes that probably should be given their due. Not probably. That should be given their due.
Absolutely.
And it's a fabulous story. So I would highly recommend pulling up the show notes for this one, going, looking it up and reading it. And it's also from Quantum Magazine, which I think we've used in something fun for the last couple weeks. So it's a very long article. I mean, it's not as long as your previous one, but it's a long article. It goes into lots of detail. Great story. So that's my something fun for this week.
Yeah. Okay, this is totally awesome. Yeah, it's amazing how many of these situations where like the people doing the work did absolutely not get the credit, especially if they were women. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is a great article though.
Yep.
Okay.
And finally, in October of 2022, episode 255, boom, 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 you log in. The something fun was Nikon Small World.
Sure, it's completely and totally visual, not audio visual. So my something fun is the Nikon Small World photo contest. So we will put a link in the show notes here, and you pretty much have to go and look at this stuff. So if your podcast player these days should have an ability to see chapter art and chapter notes. So there is a link in the podcast notes to nikonsmallworld.com. So I pulled out a few of these that I thought were really cool. The winning photo was of the embryonic hand of a Madagascar giant day gecko.
So how big is this photo micrography.
It said that
Too late. I'm
the it's about 3 millimeters in length.
Okay.
Is the size of that hand of the hand of the gecko. That's the first link that I put in here. So 3 millimeters. But actually, I mean, it says at the bottom of that. So a visually stunning and painstaking technique. Timon used image stitching to merge hundreds of images together to create the final image of his gecko. Preparing the sample was an added challenge. Timon performed whole mount fluorescent staining and tissue clearing to capture the entire embryonic hand with a confocal microscope. This embryonic hand is about 3 millimeters in length, which is a huge sample for high-resolution microscopy. The scan consists of 300 tiles, each containing about 250 optical sections, resulting in more than 2 days of acquisition and approximately 200 gigabytes of data. The final result gives a glimpse into the hidden beauty and complexity of the gecko, highlighting the nerves in a cyan color and the bones, tendons, ligaments, skin, and blood cells in a range of warmer colors. This particular image is beautiful and informative as an overview, and also when you magnify it in a certain region, shedding light on how the structures are organized on the cellular level. He went on to say, the Nikon Small World competition is a great opportunity to share how impressive nature is on a microscopic level, not only within a scientific community, but also with the general public. So I guess you and I are general public, but these cool.
Pictures. I'm looking through all the rest of the pictures. These are really cool.
Right? They're amazing.
Super cool pictures.
Okay, well, before you just go through everything, I pulled out 4 other ones and the links are in the notes.
Yeah.
That you should just click on. So the first one is Daddy Longlegs.
Yep. Creepy.
Which is totally creepy, but looks really cool. The second one is a 2-month-old juvenile sea star, which is like, I don't know, looks like a snowflake, but obviously an alive snowflake. It's very cool. My third one that I pulled out was, what was this? Oh, the rasping tongue of a marine snail.
This just looks like this doesn't look organic. This looks like
doesn't look real, does it?
Doesn't look real. It's like,
right?
Some abstract painter thought this would be cool.
Right? I thought that was very, very cool. And then the fourth one I pulled out was the end of a dental drill bit.
Yeah.
Studded with diamond chips.
It looks like a rock.
Right?
Very cool.
Anyway, there's well, at least on mine, it says 90, I'm on image 45 of 92. And I gotta admit, I actually didn't even make it to the end of this. I think I made it up into the 60s before I ran out of time. But, the images here are amazing. Yeah. So that's my something fun.
Super cool.
Very, very, very cool. So
all right.
Check it out. Lots of cellular photography.
Lots of fun stuff to stare at.
Yep. All right, my friend.
Yep. Have a good night,
Sorry for being
John.
late tonight.
Nah, I'm starting to fade. So.
All right. I will talk to you later.
We'll see you.
Be well.
Bye.